After a short hiatus, I am back, and let's dive into this awful series and awful road trip for the Seattle Mariners. What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back and welcome in to the Seattle Mariners post games recap. The Mariners they get swept in this series by the Phillies, dropping the last two, 6-4 last night, 11-2 this afternoon. They fall to 68 and 61 in the season. As always, the big three. I know it's been a frustrating road trip, but if you help me out, hit the like button. It helps out the channel. Subscribe if you're new or lurking. I'm 66 subs away from 5,000. And don't forget to comment your thoughts on the team and the game down below. 48 is the title of this video. And yeah, I'll give you a minute, maybe guess what that number is if you want to. I mean, you pause it and try to guess. It's the amount of hits the Phillies had in this series. 48 hits. 48 hits. We watched the last three games. I actually didn't watch much of today. I was working. I mean, forgive me. I'm sorry. And I'm not going to go back and watch it. Like 48. Sitting there watching all three games, the Phillies had 48 hits. And if you want to go back to Sunday, the Mets had 14. That is 62 hits in 4 games. That's not counting walks and hit by pitches, which let's say that's 8 over the last 4 games. It might be a little less. Mariners pitchers don't walk a ton. So it probably might be less, but let's just say 8 just for fun. That's 70 base runners in the last 4 games. I can't believe they haven't given up 30 runs in a game. I mean, they're lucky that they are so lucky that game was at 3 for 6 innings today, to be perfectly honest. Pitching was atrocious. That was awful. Absolutely awful, stinking the bed. And we've talked about it. The pitching has to be better. It was turning a corner. It had been better, but it has not been good on the road outside of Brian Wu, who coincidentally is the only pitcher that didn't have a bad outing on this road trip. Now he only threw 1 start. That's a shame. It's just the way the schedule works. That's nobody's fault. Logan and George started out with good, Logan Gilbert with good starts against Baltimore, but gave it all back against the Mets and Phillies. Castillo was terrible in both starts. I'll give him credit for battling today. Like, he did give them a chance to win this game. But it was still terrible. Like, he should have been tagged for more runs than he had given up. Like, I'll give him the veteran savvy point for getting out of that at 4 innings, 3 earned runs, and at least having a shot to win the game. But still awful. And he was awful against the Mets. Logan Evans was terrible in his 1 start. I will say this. Oh, by the way, too, just apologize for not doing the video yesterday. I wasn't so much under the weather. I'd worked outside all day, and I just don't think I was hydrated. I actually started doing the video and got super lightheaded. So I just had to sit down, and I just didn't get to it. I'm like, tomorrow's a morning game, so I'll just do the recaps in the afternoon. So I want to apologize for that just real quick. Couple positives. Yes, I know. Positives, really. I thought Bryce Miller actually looked okay. Now, maybe that's just low expectations, but I actually think that might have been his second best start this season. Cincinnati was his first. That one, he looked dialed in. I know he had to start against the Angels where he went like 5 shutout innings, but I'm pretty sure he had like 5 walks, a hit by pitch, and just wiggled out of trouble all game. The only things that really frustrated me yesterday was the walk to Bryson Stott and probably the home run to Bryson Stott. Other than that, I mean, the home run to Schwarber was a pretty good pitch. It was up in the zone, 97. Schwarber just tomahawked that thing out of there. Gave up a couple base hits, but I mean, and there was some hard hit contact, but I thought he looked better. The velocity stayed around 96, 97 for his outing. The splitter looked pretty decent, had some good bite to it. I thought it was encouraging. I looked more closer to Bryce Miller of last year than we've seen before. So that is an encouraging sign. And who knows, maybe 4 runs in 5 innings is not good. I'm not trying to claim that's a good outing, but I saw some encouraging signs there. So Bryce Miller going forward maybe helps his team big time in September. Eugenio Suarez actually has a pretty good series. He homers today, game-tying double yesterday, and that double off the wall that if he hits that to anywhere else in the ballpark is probably a home run. So Gino gets hot. I've called that out, that Gino needed to be better. And he has. He's heated up, had the home run off of Diaz and the Mets. The problem is just outside of the double yesterday, some of his stuff is just coming at times when it doesn't seem to be mattering all that much. Although the home run today should have mattered, right? He made it 3-2 in the 7th inning. So you had time to still get back into that game. But then the pitching, you know what's the bed the next inning and the game's over. So good to see. Julio has a pretty good series in all honesty. Gets a few hits, a few doubles, another double today, a home run. That pitch he hit for a home run was like, if you look at it on game day, it was like off the dirt completely. I don't know how he got that one out. So not a bad series from Julio either. Like the offense had some moments. It wasn't great. I'm not going to praise the offense, but 13 runs in 3 games, 16 in their last 4. Like that's 4 runs a game. With the pitching and what we expected it to be, that shouldn't be 0-4 for the Mariners. That should at least find a way to squeeze one win out of that. Again, I don't think the offense was like locked in amazing or anything like that, but they weren't so awful that you couldn't, with some better pitching, find a way. And yes, the Phillies lineup is incredibly good. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But the Mariners pitching is supposed to be good. If this team wants to do anything in the postseason, if they get there, pitching has to be better, and has not been good on the road. I mean, I'll be honest. I'll be pumped up and excited for it. But man, if this team has to go to Yankee Stadium or Fenway Park, and I know they won the series in Boston this year, and I'm not saying they can't. That'd be very clear. I'm not saying they can't win those series, but it would be hard outside of Brian Wu to not be nail biting with the pitchers, the way they're throwing the ball. I mean, of course, playoff baseball, you're always nail biting, but even more so, just not a lot of faith outside of Wu. Just not a ton of faith in this pitching staff away from T-Mobile Park. And it's just, if they go 4-5, did I talk about the standings already? I've recorded this video a bunch of times. They're 1.5 back in the division. The good news is, I think 5 more wins clinches the AL West the way Houston's playing right now. Hey, Astros and Mariner fans, see, we're in it together. We're both watching our teams be extremely frustrating. We can find solace in the fact that these things can bring us together as baseball fans. I think whoever gets to 5 games, 75 wins first, might win the American League West. The Angels might get back in it. But yeah, Mariners are a 1.5 back in the AL West, tied with Boston's second wild card. If I said that already, I'm so sorry. I decided to record this 3 times. And then they're 2.5 or 1.5 up on a playoff spot. I said going into this road trip, 4-5 was probably okay. And it's not meant to be defeatist to say, oh, I'm okay with 4-5, but you have a tough road trip. And if you can just find a way to hold serve a little bit, when the team won 14 in a row in 2022, they did get swept by the Astros after the All-Star break, but then they swept Texas. They at least leveled out a little bit. This team goes 9-1 and immediately falls up by 2-7. This team just has no middle ground. I mean, there's just no, can they just be normal for 2 weeks? Could they have just gone 7-7 over the next 14? If they'd done that, they probably would have been in first place and 4 up on a playoff spot, just playing. They probably, after that homestand, could play 500 the rest of the way and probably be okay. And maybe they still do that, but they start out by going 2-7. Baltimore's playing better. The Mets are better than the streak they were on, and the Phillies might be the best team in baseball. But eventually you've got to win a little bit. I give the team praise when they beat bad teams, right? I say, hey, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to beat bad teams. Nothing wrong with that. But you do have to, the schedules, it does get easier, but it's not the A's are playing really good ball. What if the A's beat them? We go, well, the A's are playing really good ball. So, Lopez has been good. Springs is tough to hit. Padres coming. Well, the Padres are catching the Dodgers. It's a tough series to win. Then you go on the road for Cleveland, Kansas City, and Tampa. Or no, not Cleveland, Tampa, and the Braves. I don't know if it's in that order. I don't think it is. Well, Cleveland's got Jose Ramirez. He got you. Well, Atlanta's really talented. They're underperforming. They got you. Well, Tampa, we know they're dangerous, and that's a hitter's park out there. They got you. You do have to beat some of these teams. This is who you're playing. I'm not expecting them to sweep the Philadelphia Phillies and New York Mets, but, you could have gone not 1-5, 2-4, 1-3-3, and you'd be looking at a lot different standings. Even they could have found a way today to win and salvage this. I at least could have said, hey, it was a bad road trip, but they found a way to win a game in each of the series. They avoided a terrible skid, and they leveled it out enough. Let's get home. Let's get going. Now, hopefully that's what happens. But this team is just, I was saying earlier, sitting at home, you could tell me the Mariners are going to go 10-0 in their next 10. And I'd say, yeah, I could see that. You could tell me they're going to go 0-10. And I'd go, yeah, I could see that. I mean, there is just I'd probably say more likely to go 10-0 because I do think they're good, but there's just not a lot of middle ground with this baseball team. And it's very, very frustrating here. Boy, what else do I have? Talked about Bryce Miller, Geno Suarez. Why did Dan go to Taylor Saucedo in the seventh inning? Like, and it's funny because Dan actually managed it pretty aggressively today. Gets Castillo out after 4, which is the right decision. Goes to Bizzardo, goes to Ferguson, goes to Brash in the sixth inning, down by 2 to get a couple runners get Real Muto with a couple runners on base. Dan played that to win. I admire that, actually. Solid. You got a day off tomorrow. See if you can keep him at 3 and the offense can battle back to get to 4 and steal one. I get it was the bottom of the Phillies lineup. And I'm sure Dan's answer was, well, I'm saving Gabe Spire for Schwarber and Harper. It didn't matter because you didn't get to Schwarber and Harper because Sauce comes in, walk, hit by pitch. There were some flares and bloops that fell in, but game's over. Game is over at that point. Sauce gives it up. He's looked better since coming back, but I'm not throwing him in against Philly down 3-2. Why not go to Spire there? And why not go to, if you don't score in the seventh, or excuse me, in the eighth, go to Munoz. Go Spire Munoz. You have a day off tomorrow. They're not overworked right now. Munoz hasn't pitched since last Friday. Spire did pitch yesterday, but used Brash back to back. Go with Spire in the seventh. Go with Munoz in the eighth, or go Munoz in the seventh, Spire in the eighth if you want him to face Schwarber and Harper. That's fine. I have no problem with that. Then if the offense can't battle back, dude, you played it to the best of your abilities. Now, I like the front end, the back end of the bullpen has some arms. The front end is struggling. Legumina sent down, Coar sent down. Sauron Lau's up. He didn't look good today. Saucedo's been up and down. He's looked okay, then doesn't look good. Vargas threw 3 innings on Monday, which that probably should have been Legumina throwing those innings. And then Bizzard already pitched. Like, I know, Dan can be a little short on weapons at time, but you had Spire and Munoz there. Just use them at that point. If Spire gives it the run, so be it. Then have Lau pitch the eighth and save Munoz. But it's just, man, you did. I don't think they would have won regardless, to be honest. They just weren't winning this series. The baseball gods were not letting it happen. But you managed it so aggressively before. And it's oh, we cut it to 1. Oh, got to get Sauce up in there. And it's really? And I'm not it's just, why? Pitching's got to be better. I'm trying to think of things to say here. Brash yesterday wasn't great. Feels like he has had some outings where he's been up and down a little bit. And, maybe I'm just overreacting to yesterday, but I feel like he's been a little more shaky some of the last few outings. There's been some BABIP there, but yesterday, 4-4 coming in, maybe get that 4-4 to the ninth. You find a way, but he gives up the home run. So nobody on the pitching side has really a gold star. Maybe Vargas for Monday, and then Spire was fine yesterday, and then Bizzardo was good too. But not a lot of gold stars to go around for the pitching staff at all. Like I said, even Bryce Miller that I said was encouraging. Part of that just may be what I watched from Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, and then Castillo, and then everybody else today. Maybe that's just part of it. Maybe Bryce didn't look good, and my brain is just convincing me that, hey, he was the best of the 3, probably. I'm just kind of out of words here. They're in a playoff spot, so you sure as heck shouldn't be giving up on the season. If Q&A, Jay, do you think they make the playoffs? Miraculously, and probably for being a complete idiot, I do think they find a way to get in. I think they'll level it out a little bit, but I don't think the schedule is that easy. I mean, there's outside of the Rockies in the last homestand, but it's going to come down to the end. They're not going to pull away from the wild card race. They're not going to pull away in a division race. It is going to be up in the air, probably going into that Rockies-Dodgers homestand, big time still up in the air. You're going to be questioning where the team's at and what they're doing. They're not going to drop out of it because the teams behind them are massively flawed. So they're not going to drop out of the race completely. KC's playing better, but they're going to cool off. Cleveland's already cooling off a little bit. Boston's got issues. I mean, the Yankees have come out of it a little bit. The Yankees are probably in their minds in the best spot. They had their swoon, and now they're kind of coming out of it a little bit here. So they've got to be feeling pretty good. I mean, hopefully that was it for the Mariners. Hopefully they got out of their system and that's it. They come home and are locked in. You feel good with Brian Wu going Friday. But it's not going to be an easy series. The A's have got some better pitchers going. I said Lopez has been fantastic for them. Springs is tough. We know that offense can hit with Kurtz, Rooker, Langoliers, Soderstrom. Not sure if Jacob Wilson is back or not. I'm sure I'm missing Lawrence Butler's decent. So that's not the A's don't have a good record. That's a sweep. That's going to be a tough one that you're going to have to battle through to find a way to win that series. And going back to us about teams, I'll say something about Houston. Houston is dealing with all sorts of issues now. They just lost back-to-back games with Hunter Brown and Framber Valdez. Now they're going to play an Orioles team that's hot that beat them last week. Jordan's working his way back, but how good will he be? And I'm not trying to trash talk any Astros fan. I'm just saying I'd be asked the same thing for the Mariners. So none of these teams are running away with anything here. So they'll be in it. But they've got to pitch better. I mean, I can get on the offense. I can yell all I want about Dylan Moore and Donovan Solano. And yes, take them off the roster. Take them off. But, I mean, do you think Samad Taylor and Leo Rivas would have changed anything in this series here? No, that wouldn't have made a difference because you're not getting outs. You're not pitching. Like, you got to keep the other team off the board a little bit here. And in terms of those guys playing, I've just let Luke Raley play. Can he play one game? I mean, I know it's against a lefty, but have you seen Dylan Moore and what he's doing? Like, can you just, I'm not saying Luke Raley's that bad against lefty. It was awful. But, at least it's something different. Solano, fine a little bit because I wonder if Naylor, who does pinch hit there, I do wonder if the back shoulder is bothering him a little bit. He has not looked great since re-entering the lineup after missing, I think, the first game against the Mets. He's looked a little sluggish and a little off. So I don't hate giving him the day off there. And if you're going to do that, and with Canzone being hurt, Solano's kind of your only option. Garver's fine against lefties. I always see Garver lumped in there with Demo. Garver's fine. He had a good series, actually. He had 2 home runs. No, he didn't. No, he hit a home run Mets series, and then he had the first game of the Phillies series. So, he did have a hit today, though. I'm not saying Garver's great or anything like that, but it's not a huge issue that he's in the lineup against left-handed pitching. Really, the issue is, guys like Dylan Moore still getting at bats, which I don't understand. But again, it's the pitching. You can't give up 48 hits in a series, whether it's Dylan Moore, Aaron Judge, Ken Griffey Jr., or me out there. 48 hits in a series is not going to win you hardly anything at all. And I'm sure that's what the coaching staff would say, and the front office would say too. If they were sitting here, they go, yeah, and we can get rid of Dylan Moore, but what would that have changed in this series? Probably nothing. It's true. It's probably would have changed absolutely nothing. Doesn't mean he shouldn't be gone. We'll be very clear on that. Doesn't mean he shouldn't be gone. Don't think it would have changed anything. Yeah, play better. Hopefully they win on Friday. I don't have a ton more on that. Very disappointing. I hate when this team gets really hot and then just has to play garbage baseball for a road trip or a homestand. And that's why I always say, sometimes it's about just finding that median there, 4 and 5. A couple people even commented when I said 4 and 5, not so much on, I think I got a couple on here, and it's fine. I'm not picking on anybody, but 4 and 5, man, that's loser mentality. We got killed for 4 and 5. Look where we'd be with 4 and 5. Be in first place. It's not a loser mentality. You got to find that medium ground. And this team struggles to find it. They're here or they're here a lot of times. And now, if you find the medium ground, certainly better than this road trip, but now you kind of want to get some of those games back a little bit. So now instead of hey, if they went 4 and 5 on this road trip and even 3 and 3 on this homestand, where you'd be sitting there at 73 and 62, probably a game up in the division, probably 3 up on a wild card. Now you're looking to go 4 and 2 where it's going to be tough. Now you're trying to chase some of it back a little bit, which will be difficult. So by not just leveling out a little bit, you put yourself into tough situations. Hopefully they bounce back Friday. Miss talking about wins. It's been 5 days, and it was much more fun talking about wins. Although I think losses are more therapeutic to talk about. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I'm sorry if I repeated myself, restarted this video 2 or 3 times. So if I said things twice, forgive me. But the Mariners repeat themselves with losses sometimes. So, it is what it is. Like, comment, subscribe. And as always, no matter what, even if they were 21 and 102, go Mariners. Peace.